by listeners like you. By listeners like you, our revenge is made possible. By listeners like you. By listeners like you, our revenge is made possible. By listeners like you. Our revenge is made possible by listeners like you. By listeners like you, our revenge is made possible by listeners like you. By listeners like you, our revenge is made possible by listeners like you. made possible by listeners like you.
Good afternoon, folks. Welcome back to the channel. HappyCattyCrypto here, and let's just jump straight into it. It's alive. We're going to be going over a few things quickly before we head over to the main segment of this live stream. Sorry about my voice. Done a lot of shouting this morning at work, so maybe a little bit in and out. May have to have a sip of a drink as we go through. So I think this document is really important, as I've been speaking previously in this morning's video, which I accidentally published late last night. So whoever got to see that late last night, I hope you enjoyed the early bit of information. So Alliance is really where we're going. This seems to be the direction that we're heading in. It's pretty obvious now that this is the milestone. This is the goal. This is everything that is supposed to bring a new light to the cosmos, interconnect all of the different chains back together. Because when Terra collapsed, all of those bonds became broken. We now have to recreate those bonds using the Alliance module. So we've been through how Alliance works, and if you don't know how Alliance works, you probably should read this document. I'll leave a link to it. It's really interesting just to understand how it basically works, how we're going to need to integrate possibly another asset which is going to act as an Alliance asset. What we're most interested in here on a Friday is the use cases, so we're just going to read it for what it is. The Alliance module's versatility presents several use cases catering to the ever-evolving needs of the Cosmos landscape. With the ability to transform any token into an Alliance asset and adjust its reward weight, take rate via governance, Alliance assets act as a dynamic, adaptive tool that can scale as an ecosystem's need to change. Leave my feet alone. Users in decentralized economies alike can use Alliance, so you can diverse and augment staking yield. Low liquidity chains can augment their native staking yield. Honestly, the cat. Hang on a second, folks. Leave my feet alone. Right, let's get back into this. So, lower liquidity chains can augment their native staking yield with uncorrelated, less volatile and more liquid Alliance assets by setting a take rate above 0%. Larger, more established chains can diversify their native staking yield by incorporating foreign tokens as Alliance assets and designing a take rate above 0. Users can diversify and boost their rewards by staking on one chain, bridging their LSD to an allied chain and staking it, thereby earning a second yield in the form of that chain's native token. One sec, folks, we have to put the cat out of the room. God damn, Grandma. Honestly, having a wrestling match with the cat with my feet. Okay, so we've got attract users, liquidity, and developers. By assigning a low take rate to an Alliance asset, a chain of any size can attract new users and liquidity from allied chain participants who bridge and stake their holdings within their ecosystem. Alliance staking translates to positive reflexivity, higher usage, higher liquidity, more developers building dApps, higher usage, higher liquidity, and so on, forming that love triangle that we've spoken about so many times of just this use case, utility, volume, and it continuing to go round. Keeping things in the cosmos is what we want. We want people to stay on chain. We don't want them to go to different places or anything. You know, we want it here. We don't want to see side projects or going off to other chains. And the aim is to keep it in the cosmos and to try and keep these Alliance modules open so the liquidity consistently flow. That's what's very important. Yeah, John, I banished the cat. So we've got incentivized application developers. Alliance can offer L1 staking yield to app token stakers in the ecosystem, thereby allowing users of the most promising apps to be rewarded directly from fees and inflation of the underlying L1. Communities may also use Alliance to fund the development of an essential ecosystem applications such as DEXs, money markets, NFT marketplaces. DEXs. Deepen liquidity for essential token pairs. As mentioned above, chains can increase liquidity for desired pairs by adding LP tokens as alliance assets and specifying a reweight ward above 0. So I've spoken recently about having a smart burn system in place. As we integrate into alliance, I think that's going to become more apparent, because there's going to be times where everything's really busy, and then there's going to be times like now where heavy taxes aren't helping a system that is more or less fighting a current. We need to do what we can to ease and alleviate those effects, and I believe by using some sort of smart burn tax system, that can be achieved. Because the simple fact is when there's huge amounts of liquidity flowing in, people they have to make those trades. It's, there's money involved, people make good amounts of money, and they come on the chain, they come off the chain. We need to act in a better manner. So I'm liking everything I'm seeing here, and I think the way they've explained the alliance asset that we're going to need to bridge it, so for example, you normally see with LSDs is these AMP Lunars and B Lunars, it will always kind of have that abbreviation before. It's just another bridge token. So when you start to hear we're going to have to make a new token called LUNC D or whatever, don't freak out, because it's simply a bridged asset. It doesn't add anything back to our supply, but I think that's something that's on the horizon. They're definitely going to need a bridged asset, and it's going to be super important for us to ensure that we own that bridged asset, right? We don't allow someone else to privatize on that asset, because the likelihood is someone's sitting there thinking to themselves right now, I could create B-LUNC or D-LUNC, put that in place, get it all built, and then offer it out to the community for a rental charge. Let's purchase, let's not mortgage. I think we're all getting the point now. So let's move over to this chart. I'm only going to run this live stream for an hour because I believe not a lot of people are going to turn up, because there's a lot of people on a Friday that are at work simply doing stuff. But if there's anything right now that you can see on screen and you want to add to it, throw it down in the comments now, and we'll start adding it in. We'll start discussing some stuff, and we'll start seeing where we can go with this. Whatever we get from this, I'm just going to compile it into an agora for the L1 team to acknowledge that here's a community sentiment. We've gauged it from different spots. I've got a few more places to go in and check, but ultimately, if there's anything that you believe should go on the roadmap for after we reach parity, this is probably the time to do it, because I'm definitely going to be able to get this message across that this is the true community sentiment, not simply 3 bullet points in an agora text. So I don't want to see that again. So like I was saying, we've got vital, needs and wants, and I think this is a good way to break it apart, because needs and wants are always very close together, and it's always hard to distinguish between the two. So I think it's important for us to align what we would like to see from the L1 team, because if we allow them free reign, right, and we don't show them what we want, it's simply just going to head in probably, this direction of possible AI coins and things like that, and just not going back and doing these ever so basic things. Not much going on in the chat, so I guess nobody's got anything to add to it, which is surprising. So many people have got so much to say on Twitter all the time and all of these different things. Oh, why have I voted no to the poker governance vote? Well, the governance vote's not for the poker game. The governance vote is to increase the max contract size. When you increase the max contract size, I've already gone through all of this in the video, but I'll go through it quickly for you, seeing as you've commented. Increasing that contract size is going to increase the running cost for the very, very small validators like myself. It's going to increase the risk of DDoS attacks happening and just other malicious things being put into place. And I think this is simply just to upload Terra Poker. And I think the better thing for them to have done with this is to possibly put up a proposal to say, we want to change it to this to upload our thing, and then we'll change it back. Because there is a lot of factual evidence to support what I'm saying. There's a huge issue with opening smart contracts up that big. Normally what you do is you would create one smart contract, and then you would create, say, 24 smart contracts. And that one smart contract would call from those 24 smart contracts. This is called glossarizing, creating an index in smart contracts. It's doable. The issue being is so many people, they see the easier route, and without any substantial case studies, backing evidence to say the pros and the cons, because there is pros and there is cons. It's the same for everything. We just don't see that kind of case study. I didn't want to see the max contract size change. Me voting like that and standing up for what I believe in as a validator just puts a big X on my back every time when I do that, because I stick out like a sore thumb. But I stand by what I'm saying. I'm currently in a position where this is probably going to put fees up for smart contracts because they've increased by, I think it's around 30-ish%. Doing that is just going to make smart contracts even more unusable than they already are. It's becoming ridiculous. Like, you need to have a treasury to consistently pay for fees that are just draining out, and you're never actually making anything back on that. It becomes a thing where you're running on the spot. But you can go back and look at the videos, and you can go and do your research yourself. You can look at the London upgrade for Ethereum. That speaks quite heavily about the contract size. So I've got think smart contracts for burn should be put into place. That I think the best way to burn. Through smart contracts, or I'm a bit confused. So I think smart contracts for the burn should be put in place. Well, we already have burns on smart contracts. Everything gets slapped with the burn tax, and then it gets slapped with the further tax as well. So there's like a double tax, and you get hit again when you leave a chain, hit when you get to a CEX. We've not created a great environment. So having a smart tax that works with the blockchain, not against it, and creates a current where people can swim in and be taken away with the current gently, I think that's better for everybody. And it's been a year. We've tried this, this whole, it's like Robin Hood, the sheriff of Nottingham, going around and simply just taxing everyone for a year. It's not worked, and it's not working, and it's still not working. If we got a smart system in place, it would just change the game up completely, truly and wholly, because you would never have to go back to it. You would never have to have someone to man the post. Nothing, it would benefit everybody. It would be at a point where everybody would be like, well, it's a smart system. It's pretty much the same as how it works in a lot of other places. High traffic, high gas fees. It's as simple as that. So what's going on with Exodus? You can go and check Exodus out. They are their own people. I'm HCC. They've given out their statements, and when the legal stuff all comes out, this whole community knows all about that. So you're more than welcome to go see the official statements. But I'm really not seeing anybody really adding anything to this. So I think maybe this is just what we need to submit this, and probably emphasizing on the burn, because burns are not a lot of people believe in them, but for whatever reason Binance believes in them quite heavily enough to be just throwing away millions of dollars every time. Yeah, no worries, just burn it. So I think there is something there. For us to act like there's not something there is a little bit strange if someone like Binance sees that there's something there. So what I'm going to do, like I said, over the course of this weekend, whilst I've got time off, I'm just going to put this all into an Agora. I'll go around, I'll put a couple of tweets out and ask people for more feedback of anything they want to get put in. And then we'll just get it put up as an official document. It will never go through as a proposal, but it will be there for them to acknowledge, for the community to acknowledge, for everybody else to acknowledge on the Agora, so to speak, and everywhere else. And then it becomes a situation where if they try to pull the same trick they pulled last time with those 3 bullet points, we can simply say to them, well, we've shown you community sentiment, now you're clearly ignoring it. And it becomes a point where you would probably want to do something about it. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to take this all into account. I think they're going to take a long, hard look at it. And I think they're already looking at an L2 team and a marketing team, because like we've been speaking about, the last thing we want is a Trojan horse developer team that's based off of one person's 20 split personalities. All Nodes is testing TR. I'm sure they have other resources. Clearly they know what they're doing in this space, and shut down the last L1 proposal. Time will reveal more answers to us. So All Nodes, I honestly believe All Nodes wants less responsibility in the LUNC blockchain, because they are a point of call for the endpoints. Possibly they want to throw those endpoints off onto TR. TR wants to take those endpoints because it's a route for them to get funding. It's all just now a situation of people capturing different castles, especially with Terra Vita going into this whole situation they're going in. I have no doubt that falls under financial fraud laws and stuff like that. My heart goes out to all of the people, and I hope you get your money back, especially here in the UK. The justice system's pretty harsh and pretty swift, so the likelihood is if you invested in the UK, you're probably going to be able to get your money back. So that's a good positive note. So this Parity situation, getting all of this together and ensuring that it is ready for us reaching parity, because like LUNC Burnami said, well, Steve said, once we get there, there's nothing for them to do. There is nothing really for them to do. They need tasks. So this is really important. So there is now an on-ramp on station for Luna. There's always been an on-ramp on station for Luna, but it's more or less just a link and it takes you to Binance or I think 2 other different exchanges possibly. Haven't been on Luna for a while, but that's always been there. That module is in an open source repository. We can take it, we can copy it, we can reproduce it and utilize it. It's open source. Nobody owns it. So it then comes down to these little things where, well, we could build it, or we could just use the open source stuff, get it up, get it running at its most basic level, and then work off of that, right? Why? Like, so I think I said about this yesterday, it's all good having short-term goals, but we've also got to look really, really far into the future. Really far into the future, because this is for the long run. None of us know when the bull run's coming. Anything could happen and prevent it from, running. And I know everything happens around BTC halving, but, anything could happen. We just need to be best prepared as we can. But like I was saying, it seems like we've got everything here, and I didn't really need to do this live stream. It seemed a little bit unnecessary now, I think, because, yeah, I think we've got everything. If you folks think we've got everything, throw some penguins down or something in the chat, and I'll go away and I'll get all of this written up. And I'll release the cat from her jail in the spare room. I tried to volunteer as a programmer as we lack people, but I have no idea whom to contact. You can contact LUNC Burnami, which is Steve on Twitter. Their credentials are everywhere. They're quite well spoken, and I know they're going to be doing less Twitter time and just more of these kind of, the way they do the sprint meetings is the exact same way they want to then produce that to the community. One port of information not coming out from 30 different people inside the group of all different developers doing all of this stuff. So yeah, folks, John, really appreciate your donation. Before I'd even started the live stream, you were bang on it. I really appreciate it, folks. That's all I've got. I honestly thought this was going to take a bit longer. I thought a lot of people might have had a lot more input to put in, but yeah, we just don't. So I'll get this written up. Other than that, folks, have a really nice day. No more videos today. No videos this weekend. Stay safe. Touch grass. Beware of scammers. Beware of doppelgangers. Beware of anybody who pretends to be me. I'm sorry for wasting your time this afternoon. Have a really nice day.